Hey guys, how you going? So I wanted to talk about the banner that's been in the store for a couple of days now, this debut deal that they're calling it, where they introduce 5 medals in one go, one of them being a tier 6, one of the last tier 6s that we need, and 4 friggin' tier 7s, which is, it's a hell of a lot to drop on us all at once, but the cool thing is that, well, I'll talk about it later on, but I really honestly believe this is one of the best banners that they've ever put in this game, and at the way they're going, where they want us to be on parity with the Japanese version, this may be one of the best banners we will ever have, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Basically, these videos usually work. I introduce all the new medals introduced into the game, and I also talk about, at the end, do I think you should pull for it? In the case like this, I think almost everyone should be trying to pull for it, or at least do it. Well, we'll talk about it when we get there. Anyway, let's go to the introductions first. So, HD Larxene is my brand new medal as well. It's basically got the effect of, for one attack and one attack only, being her special attack, she debuffs all the enemies on the field with -3 steps of general defense down. I usually don't like single attack debuffs on enemies because I like having those debuffs last the entire time, especially like general defense down. In Colosseum, if you're only doing it for that one attack, it's more or less useless. You need the enemies to be debuffed consistently so that all your medals can deal damage. Anyway, I don't think she's a bad medal because we kind of earn this meta right now of Kairi EX being friggin' everywhere. So let's say you have a setup that has Kairi EX in the first slot and maybe a copycat medal in the second, or vice versa. The enemies are going to be at -6 anyway. So the fact that the -3 debuff only lasts for one attack is not the biggest deal in the world, because they're already at -6 anyway. The -3 couldn't possibly work to its full effect because it would only bring the enemy down to -7 anyway. So it's not like you're losing out that much. It's still a high-powered, like a high-damaging medal, even if the debuff isn't even strictly worth it. But we'll talk about that as we get further into the video. In terms of the multipliers down the bottom there, you can see at maximum guilt, at full 180% guilt, it has the potential to do a 13.61 hit with a 13.61 multiplier. That's not going to happen all the time though, and in fact the multiplier maxes out the more gauges that you consume in that turn. Like I said though, in a world where Kairi EX is running rampant, if you have Kairi plus a copycat, you're actually gaining back a hell of a lot of gauges, not consuming them. So, let's say you have this HD Larxene in slot 5, for example. If you're using your slot 1 and slot 2, let's say it's Kairi and a copy, to gain a hell of a lot of gauges back, you're going to need to consume quite a lot in slots 3 and 4 to actually make this medal hit at its hardest, or else you're just wasting potential. It does cost 4 gauges in and of itself though, so it does sort of help itself to consume gauges, but you still need some pretty consuming, I don't know the word I'm looking for, they're pretty hungry medals, let's say, in terms of gauge consumption in slot 3 and 4 to actually make this thing hit pretty hard. It works really well as a friend medal. Like I said, that debuff being on the final, only lasting one attack is irrelevant for a friend medal anyway, because the debuffs could only ever last for one attack. And same again, as a friend medal, you've got basically your best chance of consuming gauges by that 7th slot. 7th slot, so. Anyway, in terms of best Keyblades, they pretty much just put down any Keyblades that have a reverse speed slot towards the back. Obviously Divine Rose, I'm a big fan of, you guys all know that. Missing Ache obviously has a reverse speed themed Keyblade, so it has tons of reverse speed slots. And Stroke of Midnight has a pretty nice reverse speed slot towards the back as well, so it does work quite well on a lot of Keyblades. And let's move on to the next medal. So we want to talk about HD Vanitas next. Let me change the music. Okay, so we're talking about a copycat medal that copies the medal after the one in this slot. I love copycat medals. Basically, you know how crazy I went over HD Namine, I chased HD Shion, I can't get enough of them. So now that we have, not quite a replacement for those, but definitely an upgrade to those medals, just due to the fact that it's a tier 7. Yeah, we have HD Vanitas. So if you guys don't know how copycat medals work, I can quickly go over it, or else just feel free to skip ahead. Basically, it copies the medal directly after this medal in terms of where it's placed in the Keyblade. It copies everything about it right down to its multiplier, and then applies its own level of guilt to the multiplier of the previous medal. So let's say you're copying a medal that natively has a ×3 multiplier slot. It goes ahead and takes that ×3 multiplier slot and then applies its own guilt to it. So if you've guilted it at 200%, that ×3 effectively becomes ×9, because a 200% boost to the guild is effectively timesing it by 3. As that's how you can kind of think of it. Again, I've gone over copycat medals a million times before, so I'll just skip ahead. It works incredibly well as a pet medal, just because you can copy any really powerful medals that your friends have. Tons of Keyblades have reverse magic slots towards the back and at the front. Moogle of Glory in particular has a really nice reverse magic slot, as well as Fairy Stars having one towards the front, so you could use it more as a buffer. There are tons and tons of options for this medal. I'm really excited to try and pull for it. Alright, we're going on to HD Zexion now. So this sexy fellow right here is a really amazing defensive buffer of a medal. So let me just show you what it does right here. So for 2 turns these buffs and debuffs last for, it gives you +4 on all of your power, strength and magic, as well as +2 on all your power, strength and magic defense. It also takes the enemy's attack down by 1 step, as well as their general defense down. Straight away, you should be able to see that this is a really nice defensive medal. It boosts your own defense, as well as lowering the enemy's attack. If you were to get extra attack on this medal, or combine it with a copycat medal, especially a copycat medal with extra attack, the enemy would have a really hard time dealing any damage to you. You can see the multipliers down there on the bottom left. And I actually think you have a better chance of, especially in this current meta, again, Kyrie meta running Rails, of actually being able to use this medal to its full potential, just because it deals more damage the more gauges you currently have full. I seem to be running pretty much full almost all the time now, because again, Kyrie spam is everywhere. And even then, with the Keyblades that have, you know, 19 or 21 gauges naturally, if you have any like +2 gauge traits on your medals, there's pretty much never going to be a time where these things don't hit at full power. So I really think you have the potential to drag more damage out of this medal potentially, even though it's not strictly a damage dealing medal, compared to say Larxene here. Larxene has a much wider range of the multiplier. It can technically get higher, but it can also technically hit a lot lower as well. I think consistently Zexion might be a bigger damage dealer for you. It deals 3 hits, and like I said, in terms of skills, if you think you can pull damage out of this, you might consider using a attack boosting skill, or if you're chasing after like raid, you could use a raid boosting skill. You could also go like full defensive with it and put like defense boost 3 or 4 on it. Okay, so if you're in a situation where you actually need to kill the enemies, they're not dying in 1 hit from all your strongest offense, and therefore you think, okay, I need to go on the defensive a bit. At that point, like, you probably won't use this as your biggest offensive dealing medal, you know what I mean? Like, you'd already have, quote-unquote, a lot stronger medals that could be dealing more damage for you. So you could forego the offensive skill and just go for a defensive one. What I'm trying to say is, if you're ever in a situation where you need to use this medal, it's probably because the best offense you have isn't cutting it, and therefore you need to go on the defensive. So, even though it would hit like a friggin' truck, it's still going to hit pretty hard without an attack boosting skill, and you could find more use out of a defense boosting skill for it. I'm not saying run out and put defense boost 3 or 4 on it, but it is an option. It's definitely an option, especially if you're unable to gilt this medal during this banner. Let's move on. I'm talking about Final Form Sora. So this is a beautiful looking medal. What an absolute beauty. This medal and the next medal, Black Coat Riku, are very similar. In fact, they're direct clones of each other, so may as well talk about them at the same time. They both have the effect of giving you a +1 to your upright buff, as well as giving all the enemies on the stage a -3 defense for all of them, basically. The only real difference is that this one has the maximum multiplier in slot 5, and this one has the maximum multiplier in slot 3. These two medals combined were basically built with Fairy Stars in mind, because Fairy Stars has a upright speed on its 5th slot, and then upright magic on its 3rd slot. Yeah, definitely built with Fairy Stars in mind, but saying that, Olympia and also Sleeping Lion have the 5th slot being an upright speed, and Divine Rose and also Counterpoint have an upright magic in the 3rd slot. So you definitely aren't pigeonholed into which Keyblade you're going to use for it, but there are the best 3 options, I believe, right there. Let's check the music. Okay, we've got the music back. In terms of the skills I've recommended, I've said just pure attack boosting skill. Like, look at those multipliers down the bottom there. If you're putting this medal in slot 5 and you're able to maximally gilt it, you are going to consistently every single time hit with a 13.80 multiplier. Whoa, damn, that is absolutely incredible. The only bad side is if you try and copycat these medals, you will gain, they won't be in the maximum multiplier slots, because basically it'll say, like, let's say you wouldn't do this because it doesn't fit there, but let's say you have HD Vanitas in slot 4, for example. It wouldn't be hitting with the full multiplier, because even though the Final Form Sora is in the 5th slot, it's temporarily acting in the 4th slot, if that makes sense. What I'm trying to say is these medals here are not great to copy, just because the multipliers definitely favour it alone being in its correct slot. Anyway, on its own though, it works absolute freaking wonders. Again, max guilting with a 13.80 multiplier to all targets. That is incredibly high for an all targets hitting medal. That is insanely high. So in terms of the skills, attack boost for sure, or if you like raiding, a lux boosting skill. You could even consider using a gauge reduction medal, like attack boost 4 max and 2 gauges. Let me just turn that down a bit. It's because it does cost 4 gauges. It's not the highest costing medal in the world, like there are medals that cost 5 or 6 gauges, but yeah, 4 is pretty high, and especially if you don't carry Kari with you to consistently boost you back up. I can definitely see you investing in attack boost 4 or 5 plus SP gauge 2. So exactly the same scenario for Black Coat Riku. The art is very cool now that they updated it instead of being lazy and copying a previous medal. Yeah, very cool medals for the both of them. So, why is this such an amazing banner? Okay. Every single time you pull, you're going to get either a tier 6 or a tier 5, and people seem to have pretty good rates at pulling multiple copies of them. That's amazing, and if you do pull multiple copies, they'll both have dots. You could potentially, and I think I saw Metalcore just do it, do one pull and be able to guilt a tier 7 medal in one pull. That's incredible, and it also gets a trait. Right now, there is an amazing chance where if you do 5 or 6 pulls, you're going to be able to pretty close to guilt at least one of them, and get a couple of traits on them. The only downside is, and I'll talk about this in a second, well, may as well talk about it now, why not? You do need to have a bit of an investment into this banner, because if you do 3 pulls, unless you do hit the same medal over and over again, it's not going to stand out any more so than a regular banner. Like, the effects on these medals are really quite good, but the fact that they're tier 7 means nothing if you can't guilt them. Saying that though, we've gotten a lot of Mickey and brooms lately. We're getting tons of we're getting brooms from Union Cross, either 1 or 2 a week. We literally just got 2 more brooms from the Square Enix Presents Global Friday, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say? We got two more Mickey and brooms just for that. Even if you can't guilt it just from pulling alone, with the amount of brooms we're getting lately, you should be able to guilt it from those. Wait for a guilting campaign, because one should be coming at Christmas, given what they said on that stream. That's at least what I'm reading into it. Yeah, and traits. You will never have a better chance of picking up traits than you do on a banner like this. The downside of having so many medals in the game is that if you're only guaranteed 1 premium per pull, but the pool is wide open for like 70, 80 premiums, the chance of getting the same one over and over again to get those necessary, well, not necessary, but to get those very beneficial traits which elevate the powerful players into the super powerful players is so low. But when the chance is 1 in 5 of getting the same medal over and over again, potentially even better than 1 in 5, because you could pull 2 of them at once, this is such an amazing time to pull. It's such a really good time to pull. And think about it. If you did 20 pulls on this banner compared to 20 pulls on a foreteller banner or on the Roxas banner, how are you going to walk away more powerful? Yes, you're going to be guaranteed either the foreteller or Roxas, but you're only guaranteed 1 copy of those. In this, you're probably going to guilt at least 3 or 4 of them, and you're probably going to do, what, 20 pulls? You're going to be able to get really good traits on every single one of them. You're not guaranteed to get really good traits, but you're setting yourself up to get really good traits on all of them. I've called it like the joules to power ratio. Basically, if you were to do 20 pulls in the foreteller banner, yeah, you get a foreteller medal, which again are good in their own right, but I'll say it one more time. In a Kyra EX meta, the one that we're currently in, they don't stand out amazingly, especially because you probably won't get a trait on them, and unfortunately, like you can guilt them with Mickey and brooms, but it's like free guilts basically if you're going to do 20 pulls on this banner right here. Anyway, why should you not pull for this banner if it ever wants to load? Okay, I've said it a million times, but Kyra EX is such a must, and we will likely get a Kyra EX reprint banner. Who knows, Christmas could bring one. I would say that Xion EX is definitely going to come out by Christmas, and if not by Christmas, then just after. That should be priority number 1, I believe. This is a really great banner, but it's still just the broken nature of just how friggin' broken Kyra EX is, and its counterpart Xion EX means that, unfortunately, it has to come first. Unfortunately, it just has to come first, and so I would definitely recommend saving up for that. Again, I've got here, if you can only afford a couple of pulls right now, The beauty of this banner is the fact that you could spend a lot of jewels but get a lot back for it. You could potentially gilt 4 or 5 different medals right now from only doing a handful of pulls, like a good amount of pulls still, and still spending a lot of jewels. But those massive gilts of tier 7 medals and one tier 6 medal, we've never got that sort of power to jewel spending ratio before. So I think like I just said before, a tier 7 doesn't stand out damage wise unless you can actually unlock the gilts, or else, there's no bonus multiplier. It's just a regular ungilted medal. I think they're really good, and even if you do a couple pulls, you probably wouldn't regret it, because they'd set you up for the future. Eventually you'd be able to gilt it, and you could possibly spend Mickey and Brooms on it. But right now, if you can afford to do like 6, 7, or 8 pulls, and you've already got Kara EX, this is like heaven for you. And luckily for me, I wasn't able to play the game for like a month, and I definitely wasn't able to pull, so I've got a lot of jewels saved up, and it works out really well for me. So I hope some of you guys are in a similar position to me. If you're not, it doesn't matter. Keep saving, and stuff like this will hopefully come back up in the future. This is, like, at least from my point of view, generated some really positive responses. In the short term, they're only doing this to catch us up to JP, so that we don't have an advantage anymore. And effectively they'll get more money in the long run. But it's good for now. It's good in the very, very, very short term, because we will be caught up to JP so soon, and then we'll all be screwed. But in the very short term, it's good. At least if you have a few jewels saved up. Anyway, guys, it's time for a pull. Or 2. Do you guys remember how I said I haven't played in quite a while? Let's look at this presents box real quick. Expires in 1 hour. So I'm going to go ahead and collect these presents before they expire. There are a lot. So don't get too mad at me, guys. I'm sorry, but this has been a really good month for like errors and bonus jewels. So, I think I've got the daily jewels as well. Hell yeah. So I got a few jewels coming in. So 27,410. Add to that a couple more right now. Bang, another 400. And let's add to that. All these presents. They could be about 27,000. They could be about 10k in there. Let's have a go. 27,810 goes up to 37,000. I'm 200 shy of 10,000. Holy shit. It's time for some pulls, because I've been like really excited to pull, but I'm like, no, do it on stream, do it on camera and make a video out of it first. So, all right, here we go. Let's go for one now. Let me know what you think, guys. If you're in a situation where you're like, I've got like 9,000 jewels, I haven't pulled yet, I'm considering pulling, but I don't have Xion EX, I don't have Kara EX, what do I do? Come talk to me, leave me a comment, or talk on Discord. The guys on Discord are so happy to help out, and they're just really, really genuinely good people. Oh, another Zexion. Hopefully more than 1 dot. Beautiful, we got 2 dots, so now even if I get a 1 dot copy of this again, it's perfect. I can gilt it in 3 pulls. Very happy with that. Yeah, let me know your situation, because I am really, really trying to help you guys out. It's a really tough time right now. If you didn't get Kyrie, it just sucks. Like, it's just people being left behind arbitrarily for no reason, and it means you can't participate in stuff like this without taking a bit of risk. So I definitely sympathize, guys, and I want to help you out. There we go, we got Larxene as well. Alright guys, that should pretty much do it for now, so I'll leave you with it. And how many dots do we get? Yeah, 2's not too bad. I definitely want to get HD Vanitas, I'm really keen. I'm going to definitely do some more pulls, guys. I'm really excited to keep pulling, so I hope I will see you soon. All the best, guys. Bye.